You are live.
I remember.
Thank you.
The generator.
Calling together the Finance Committee for October 6, 2022. It is 11:37 a.m. We have a full agenda before us and a Board of Supervisors meeting after us. So we will get down to business here. I'll ask the clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, you do.
We have a quorum. We will proceed. The first order of business is a motion to approve the minutes of prior committee meetings. By Supervisor Diamond, second by Supervisor Bruno. Discussion? Question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Staying, I wasn't at the last.
And one abstention, Supervisor Molino. Thank you. On to action agenda. Number one is request for transfer of funds as attached for committee approval. Any questions? Motion to accept the transfer of funds as attached. Supervisor Bruno, Supervisor Runyon on the second. Discussion. Call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. On to action item number two, request items to be discussed by the county administrator. A, B, C, D, and F are all requests from the Office of Community Services utilizing ARPA funds. You have all reviewed these, looked through these. I would entertain a motion to look at A through F with consent of the committee. B for F. The journal report. Any questions on the journal report transfers? No. Okay. B through F. To consider those as a group. Supervisor Driscoll, thank you. Second, Supervisor Diamond. Questions? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on to B, C, D, E, and F.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm going to oppose because I thought we were going to read each one of these off, and do them separately.
Okay,
But we went past that. I had my hand up, but didn't see me.
I'm
I'll
sorry,
I'll just,
Supervisor. What's the
say no.
committee's decision? We can go through.
No, that's fine.
Want to
Just wanted to know that I thought we better go through it.
These were all, if I'm right, anybody from the ARPA committee to report on these items to give us context? No, okay. We'll proceed then. Review of the 2023 budget. Before you, out of the county administrator's office, there are four budgets. A1011, which is county administrator, A1670, the mailroom, A1671, the print shop, and A4530, public nursing home. Altogether, they are $4,000 less than the amended 2021 budgets. Any questions on those budgets as in the packet? If there are no questions at this time, I'd like to move on to number three, request to be discussed by the county treasurer. Mike Swan, county treasurer, you have the floor.
Thank you. Item number A is a request to establish a petty cash fund in my office. We've had a petty cash fund there forever. Unfortunately, we can't find the resolution that actually established that. So we're asking for a resolution to establish the petty cash fund in the treasurer's office.
Just a question. I'd like to ask, keep it 200.
Yes, keep it at 200. That's where it's been. No, we're good there.
I'd like to.
Okay, at 200, good. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Item B.
Item B is, involves the bond that we just sold in spring. And unfortunately, I didn't quite calculate correctly the amount of money that it was going to take for Fitzgerald Morris to do the legal work on it, to be the bond counsel. So we have to extend the contract and amend it to not to exceed $7,000 instead of $5,500. I will say that we did get $14,000 rebate, I guess, for lack of a better term, on the initial offering. So we're really not losing any additional money.
And this is for the total of 7,000, not an additional 7.
No, this is not to exceed 7. Actually, the original resolution read 5,500 and we're going to 7,000.
Okay, brought to the floor by Supervisor Driscoll and seconded by Supervisor Runyon. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Motion carries. Budget review.
The treasurer's office budget's kind of in two sections. One is basically the operation of the office, which the biggest part of the raise there is the salary increases, which is about $46,000. Every other year, we're required to do an actuarial audit, and this is the year that we have to do it in 23. So that's an additional $10,000 in our contractual. The rest of it is maintenance, either the licensing agreements for the financial software or and the main independent outside audit, which is in excess of 40,000. So that's, is there any questions on that? I mean, you know, the operational and supplies and stuff is about the same. The other part of my budget is the revenues which come in, including sales tax and all those other things. And I think it's on page 1 of 4 on the budget worksheets. I mean, I can go over the individual items of revenue if you want. A couple of high points. We always estimate the sales tax at no increase over the previous total year collection. And that allows the budget officer to look at that and determine whether or not he wants to add an increase to that or not. I've always recommended that we hold tight, and the lower increases that you project in the sales tax has what's been allowed the county to grow the surplus, basically, because we are traditionally, thanks to the board and to the budget officer, have underestimated the revenue a little bit for the sales tax, which has helped build the surplus. A couple other things that we have on there. Well, one thing is the casino money from the Indian casinos. We've taken that right out of the budget. We haven't seen a payment from them since the fourth quarter of 2019. So we're assuming that that's not going to come anymore. We used to estimate that, but that's gone. Questions about anything else?
Privilege of the floor extended to Supervisor McDevitt.
Thank you very much. That last issue relative to not getting a payment since 2019, have we pursued that legally?
Everything that is possibly can be done has been done. And basically, the state organization or agency, I should say, that oversees this has said, well, the Indians aren't paying. There's not much we can do at this point.
Concerned, we exhausted legal avenues. Have we filed suit?
No, there's not been a lawsuit or legal action as far as that's done.
Does that make any sense? Well, why would we do that?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that question.
I'll refer here to County Attorney Elman.
There's a state compact that the state of New York enters into with the federally recognized tribes that have casinos. And from time to time, it's my past experience, they're unable to enter into a compact. I'm not sure if that's the reason that no payments have flowed to the state, but until there's a compact in place, the various tribes withhold payment until they get a compact that meets their likings. We don't have any privity of contract or relationship with those federally recognized tribes that would permit a lawsuit, we basically benefit from the flow through and an understanding with the state. I don't know the specific terms, but an understanding with the state that certain counties receive a portion of payments when they come in. So if and when the state resolves their compact with the various tribes, Warren County may benefit by some portion of a payment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion on the treasurer's budget? Hearing none, thank you, treasurer.
Thank you.
We will now go on to action item number 4, referrals from county facilities. Chaired by Supervisor Bruno. The first order of business is from airport, request to increase capital project H414, airport runway markings for $322,778. Motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Molino. Supervisor Bruno, this is not a full amount. No, there's FAA funding involved. isn't there?
Correct. Superintendent Agios can probably better
Okay,
address that.
thank you, Supervisor. Superintendent Hajos.
Supervisor. This $323,000 is a mix of state FAA grant funding as well as local match. We had already established a project with $15,000 local match. We only needed approximately, which you'll see in the next resolution, I think $1,900 more for the local match. The remainder of that funding is coming from the state and FAA.
Does that satisfy the committee? Okay, we have a first and second on 4A. I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 4B, request to amend the budget to the amount of 1939 to increase the capital project H14 with funding transfer capital projects. To the floor, Supervisor Thomas and Supervisor Molino on the second. As was mentioned, this is in coordination with what was just approved on 4A. Discussion. Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None. Motion carries. 4C is from Buildings and Grounds. It's a request for transfer of funds of $111,100 from the contingent account to transfer of capital projects, interfund transfers. And this is to fund the balance of the cost of capital project H417, jail abatement and demo, $82,000, and provide a 5% contingency, which is $29,100 for unforeseen increases. So it's moved by Supervisor.
Could I ask Superintendent Hajos if we could combine C and D because they're the same amount?
I'm sorry, say that.
Could we combine C and D?
One motion on C and D.
Yeah, yes, I think you could. Just to kind of brief everybody on this real quick, we received the bids for the jail demolition and abatement. We had $500,000 in funds for it. It came in at $582,000. Again, any type of rehab or project like this, we don't know if we're going to have any type of change order that may come in. So I think it was suggested by maybe Supervisor Bruno during our facilities committee meeting that we increase for the 82,000 and then the total project by 5% just to cover any change orders. That we
Correct.
Good. Yep. Okay, so a motion to bring 4C and D to the floor. Supervisor Bruno, or actually, did Supervisor Driscoll, did you bring?
No,
C and
no,
D
no,
to the
I
floor?
had a question, I think. first.
Oh, okay,
Although I probably should have. Yeah, I did.
okay, and then seconded by Supervisor Bruno. And I will call the question if there's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to 4E. And this is a new contract with lowest responsible bidder for general construction for the countryside adult home capital improvements. Motion to and we have all the rest of these because all that construction project was built on several bids. So should we
Correct.
bring them? What's your recommendation?
Bring them all at once.
Oh, okay. So would you like to make that motion?
Yes.
Okay, Supervisor Bruno and a second by Supervisor Runyon to bring E, F, G, and H to the floor. Is that
Correct.
correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I will turn the floor over to Superintendent Hajos to explain these bids.
So we discussed the countryside bid during our facilities committee meeting. I informed the committee at that time that we were reviewing or bid analysis is being done on the bids. We have since had our consultant finalize the bid analysis and the packages that I handed out, which actually weren't part of in the packages that you received for finance is said to be determined. But in the resolutions that I handed out, you'll see the contractors that we named for each one of these contracts. And the contracts would be general construction, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical, and the amounts associated with them are on those resolutions. And the bid tab is also attached.
Okay. So for the record, electrical construction is $367,000.
That's correct.
Mechanical construction is $1,408,000.
That is correct.
The general construction is $2,231,400.
Yes.
The plumbing construction, $182,900.
Yes.
Thank you. And Superintendent, how did these bids come into engineer projections?
They're actually, this is one of the first bids that we were pretty surprised this year that they finally came in close to what the engineer's estimate was. Most of the other ones that we've seen this year have come in much higher, anywhere from 5% to 44% over. But these came in fairly close to what we had for the engineer's estimate. So currently, right now, barring any change orders, or anything like that, we're fully funded for the project.
And the beginning of the project will be,
We had a pre-construction meeting and we're waiting to have the contractor come back and give us their schedules.
and given all of this, from start to finish, how long will the construction project be?
I'm not going to tell you until I get those schedules.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor for E, F, G, and H to be considered all together for those contracts. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? None? Motion carries. Thank you. Action item number 5 is referral from criminal justice and public safety. We have here request to authorize appropriation of funds in the amount of $400,000 from budget code A909 general fund balance unappropriated surplus to the sheriff's budget to cover the cost of purchasing policy, body worn camera systems, and update tasers for the sheriff's office and the Glens Falls Police Department. Brought to the floor by Supervisor Driscoll and seconded by Supervisor Diamond. Discussion. Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate my colleague from Glens Falls bringing this to the Public Safety Committee. I think it was last week. At that time, I initially seconded the motion, kind of rescinded that and voted no. I probably should have abstained from the vote because at that time, I hadn't had the opportunity to speak to either Mayor Collins or Police Chief Smith. Since that meeting, I have had an opportunity. Both confirmed what I already knew, that the city has had the body worn camera systems for approximately 7 years. Their usefulness or life expectancy is coming up in the next couple of years. they both told me that they really hadn't, weren't thinking ahead of the ball game, but both appreciated the support from the county. So I'm not changing my vote, but I'm going to be supporting this this referral today, because again, I've had the opportunity to have those conversations with two primary individuals from the city of Glens Falls. Thanks.
Thank you. And from, yes, Supervisor Diamond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to also include in this, and I failed to bring it up at the time at the public safety meeting, the community of Bolton Landing. I failed to recognize or remember that they do have a police department also. I believe that the amendment, the monies that have been approved through the Board of Public Safety certainly will cover the city and Bolton Landing. So I would like to, if the supervisor from Bolton was here, also include his police department in this acquisition. I spoke with the mayor about this subject yesterday, along with the chief of the police. And I have his wish list that I will present to the board at the next meeting. And the number that we're considering for the city at this time was $125,000. His number is significantly less, and I'm okay with that too. You know, his number that he's requesting, but I think there's enough appropriated between Glens Falls and the sheriff's department to also include those updated tasers and camera vests if they need them, if they'd like them. So I just wanted to add that. I don't know where the Bolton Mr. Conover is, but I think that there's enough to cover his police department also in that request that we put forward last week.
Supervisor Moreno.
Is that in the form of a motion? Yeah, I'd like to add Bolton Landing's police department. I would second that, as long as the money, there's enough to cover.
Okay, discussion on the amendments. Supervisor Thomas.
On the amendment?
Yes.
Well, I'll just discuss the whole thing. The sheriff had a specific proposal. I have not seen a specific proposal from the city of Glens Falls, and I guess I'm opposed to just authorizing money until I know what it is that we're buying. So that's where I stand on that.
Very good. I see the county attorney and the county treasurer. County treasurer, privilege of the floor.
Thank you. It's my understanding that the sheriff's office is applying for a grant on this, and I just want to make everybody aware that it's been a practice and a policy of the county not to put out funds prior to the grant even being applied for, let alone being approved. And I'm not, I've already torqued off 2 departments. I might as well take on the sheriff.
Where we don't know.
Yeah. Because if there is a grant, and I'm not absolutely 100% sure, but there has been communication with my office about how to fill out the grant application. If we go forward with this and the grant gets denied, then the county's on the stick for the entire amount of money. I just want to make the committee aware of that. This is outside of our normal practice. We've been burned very badly in the past when I first came on as treasurer, and basically the policy was adopted. If there's grant money behind this, the grant has to be approved, and we have to have the contract before we will allow the expenditure of any money that may be reimbursed.
Extend privilege of the floor to the chairman of the board.
Yeah, that grant was announced after the Board of Public Safety meeting. When I had heard it, I called, notified the sheriff and the undersheriff that potentially the state of New York was going to fund, I think, $35 million towards this type of action. So I asked them if they could apply for the grants. And at first it was no, and then they came back and said, yes, they were going to apply for grant funding for the body camera. So that's why it's the sheriff didn't miss it. The announcement came after our Board of Public Safety meeting. So it may work out very well for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for noticing that and forwarding that on. County Attorney?
Two legal issues and questions. The first, and I'm hard pressed on which one to start with first. So I'm going to start with the number of $400,000. If that's a budget transfer, meaning where the county is setting aside money for a future use, okay. But the contract we're talking about is substantially more than a $400,000 contract. So this resolution, as I understand it, to approve $400,000 to cover the cost of purchasing this system is insufficient to meet the contract cost for the system. Meaning, we can't enter into a contract if we don't have the authority to pay for the entire contract. Now, the Sheriff's Department has been in contact with my office. We've been working with the purchasing officer for the county. We're having a series of meetings tomorrow and next week to get into more detail on this. There is a number of unanswered questions on the methodology the county is using to move forward on this contract. And I believe we have a way to resolve it. But I believe there needs to be an entire contractual number provided to the county for approval over a period of years, the way we do any other contract, rather than what to me appears to be just a $400,000 down payment, which isn't going to be sufficient to meet the entire contract terms. So that's really issue one, which is why I would ask this committee to table this for 1 month, which will allow us to resolve the contracting issues that have come up, which I think we can get done by the next Criminal Justice Committee meeting. At least I hope we can. So that the full package of what's being requested can be reviewed and approved as compared to just a portion of what would be required for the contract. Again, if this is just a budget move on money, that's one thing. But if we're actually approving to use these funds, we can't, because the county cannot enter into a contract without the authority to pay the entire contract amount. And that's just point one. So I'll stop there.
Okay, as per request of the county attorney to table this motion for further review. Supervisor Bruno, second by Supervisor Molino. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
So
carries.
that would,
Yes.
may I interject, that would be tabled pending resolution of contractual items and to Supervisor Thomas's question request, the receipt of, I don't know if you call it itemized
Well, some kind of.
Yes.
proposal from City of Glens Falls and Bolton.
Yeah, now, true, yes.
Right, City of Glens Falls, Bolton, and
That wasn't voted on, but let's throw that included there.
Yeah, I'd like to include
Has
Bolton.
been open to them.
Yes.
so-
right,
Yeah.
so
Which goes to point two. And in 30 days, will give my office some additional time to do a more detailed review. I'm aware of contractual law that allows a municipality in the county to piggyback off of a contract that the county enters into. I'm unaware, as I sit here today, of a basis for the county to give a gift of money to another municipality under a contract that the county is entering into. So we need to do a little more investigation as to whether under the Constitution and the gift and loan clause, the county of Warren is allowed to pay for services on behalf of a municipality as they enter into a contract on behalf of a county. department. So those were really the two legal issues. I don't want to give a definitive answer on the second one because it does deserve some deeper look, and it's not
Sure, okay.
something anyone I've talked to is familiar with having done in recent history. Not that done it in the past is ever the right answer for me. And I need some time to try to see how that would happen. Again, I think there's an ability, if the county's getting a quote unquote great deal on a contract, the municipality has the ability to piggyback off of those terms. But I'm not sure that's necessarily what we have here.
Before I get to Supervisor Driscoll, on that tabling, there should be a date, and we said until next month. But should this technically go back to criminal justice, public safety for consideration?
Again, that's gently my suggestion to the committee. So we can vet through the core issue, those two core legal questions in more detail before something comes back up to finance.
Probably,
Clerk, should we have another motion for that? Proceed to put this back to criminal justice, public safety.
Everyone's in favor, we can say it's consensus.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Mr.
go
Chairman.
ahead, let Mr. Diamond speak first.
Thank you,
Chairman, I think that's a good idea, specifically because the Public Safety Committee did authorize the monies to be taken out of the fund balance. So we probably should send it back to Public Safety for a little bit more detailed discussion, along with the itemized list that Supervisor Thomas would like to see. So,
Some kind of proposal.
yeah, okay.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. My only comment was sometime, I'm not trying to kick the can down the road, but sometimes the wheels of government don't run as fast as we would like them to. So to set it 30 days or the next month, I would just add 30 days or an extended period of time if necessary, just to kind of cover us so that we're not coming with egg on our face at next meeting. Hopefully it can get resolved. But, again, I don't want to, set us up for, for failure in case things don't fall into place in a timely manner.
Thank you. Clerk Allen, is this sufficient to have it go back and criminal justice?
Yeah, I would say this is that's the consensus of your committee. I don't see.
Okay, thank you. Privilege of the floor extended to Supervisor.
Thank you,
Beatty.
Mr. Chairman. We advertised a supervisor's board meeting at noon. There are public in there wanting to speak and participate. And with all due respect, I think all of us should acknowledge that the committee meeting should take second fiddle to a board meeting. And we should try to adhere to that time frame. And so I think we're doing a disservice if we don't cut this meeting short now. Maybe reconvene after the board meeting, Mr. Chairman, would be a suggestion. But to have the individuals who have taken time out of their day to come to the board meeting to participate and then have them sit there and wait and wait and wait, and maybe they're going to leave, who knows? I think is injustice. So is there any way maybe that suggestion can be, put under advisement? And we
Okay.
get to the board meeting?
Thank you, Supervisor. We'll look into that. Assistant to the County Administrator.
I only point out that there was one item that we were going to address at the board meeting.
Mhm.
If you wanted to, I don't know, take that out of order or whatever.
That would be fine, probably, if you took that one item that needed action today, and then
Thank you. Yeah, we all have concern of keeping the public waiting, and we do try our best to meet our deadlines here. And caught between a rock and a hard place, but we do have business to take care of. We'll see what needs to be taken care of right now, and we will expedite everything to the best of our ability on this list. Clerk, is there anything
Yeah, these meetings.
on this list that needs to go forward to the board? Okay, so committee, at this point in time, this is up to the committee whether to adjourn and reconvene after a board of supervisors meeting or continue on with the business and do our best to do it in the most timely fashion and get back to our the work of the county. Well, I do, as we look through here, let's all take a look through here. We've covered 5 and we're at 6 and health services. Public health, mental health, legislative rules, governments, a simple one there, public works, capital projects, budget code, capital projects, capital project, capital project, capital project, capital project, capital project, parks and rec, appropriation for reserves to up yonder. On 9,
Just get them done.
okay. Let's get right to work then.
Okay.
Item 6, referrals from the Health Services Committee. 6A, request to amend the budget in the amount of $33,384 for receipt of additional funding. Supervisor Bruno, Supervisor Molino, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mental health, request to amend the budget in the amount of $10,318 to reflect receipt of 100% state aided designated People USA cover cost minimum wage adjustments. And if no objections, let's take C for mental health, amend the budget for $101,000 to allow for expenditure of opioid settlement funds to address the impacts of opioid. Supervisor Driscoll, Supervisor Merlino for 6B and C. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 7, referral from legislative and rules, request to amend the budget in the amount of $22,620.96 to reflect receipt of grant funding from New York State Board of Elections. Supervisor Thomas, Supervisor Bruno, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Referral from Public Works Committee chaired by Supervisor Conover on this one here. I'll going to quickly look over at Superintendent Hayjos. Can these all be considered as?
Yeah, they're just increasing the capital projects for each one of these to cover the cost of extra work associated with every single one of the projects. And we're doing this mainly with money we already have in our budget.
Any objections from the committee to consider 8A through
H
H?
or G. G.
G, okay. No objection from the committee. Supervisor Thomas, Supervisor Bruno on the second. Discussion. Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, request to authorize appropriation of $4,500 from the Up Yonder Reserve to the repair and maintenance of building property to cover costs of roof repairs just before it snows. Supervisor Bruno, Supervisor Molino on second. Discussion. Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9, Finance Committee is required on the following personnel agenda items contingent upon approval by the Personnel Administration and Higher Education Committee. Items 4A, 4B, and 6. Those are before you on this item here. Clerk?
We had an additional item from the floor regarding the appropriation funds of the sheriff's union. Also, kind of giving your blessing on the amendment table for the for out of unit sheriff's position.
Everybody clear on that? Let's go first with item 4. Request transfer funds, the contingent account to cover various budget codes deficits in the county attorney's office. And then the request to amend the table of organization to extend the special assistant to the county attorney position to December 31st. 4A and B, let's regard those together. Supervisor Thomas, Supervisor Bruno, discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of 4A and B, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None. Motion carries. 6, referral from criminal justice, amend the table of organizations to increase the salary of the coordinating attorney, public defender from 81,618 to 87,338, effective retroactive September 12th. As if you were at the meeting, this is to include that 5720 that was allotted to everybody else. The position was vacant at the time, so that was not made. Motion? Supervisor Diamond, Supervisor Thomas, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll put this in as now. Coming out of Personnel Committee was the resolution to amend appropriate. Could we do this on $2.75 per hour per unit employee? For the 5 sheriff office unions, and this is for the memorandum of agreement or the.
This is just the appropriation of funds. and
Okay.
then you'll also be in the organization.
On that, and we can take those together. Okay, is that understood by the committee? Okay, a motion to bring that to the floor then. Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Bruno. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That was one item. Thank you. On your 2-pager addendum here, request to be discussed by the county administrator, and this is the appropriation funds amount of $84,940 from budget code A from the general fund balance unappropriated surplus to various department budgets to cover the cost of equipment needs. This is in line with once and done spending have at this point in time that we're coming up as 2023 requests. Have the funding at this time to allow the departments to go ahead, purchase these pieces of equipment instead of having them be in the 2023 budget. Assistant to the county administrators, am I correct on that? Okay, thank you. Is the committee clear on that? Okay, motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor Thomas, second. Supervisor Runyon, thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, called to question. Oh, discussion?
Yeah, these are items that were requested in the 2023 budget. The .2s, mostly equipment. List started out at about 200,000 and it's down to 84.9.
Further discussion? Hearing none, close the discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None. Motion carries. Motion to adjourn. Supervisor Driscoll, Supervisor Bruno, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.